What's up, coaches? Coach Chamberlain here. Welcome back to the Back to the Basics series. Once again, this is the series for very new coaches, for players maybe trying to get ahead in the coaching realm, those seniors that think they want to come out and coach. There is no more rewarding career than being a coach, as long as you don't absolutely care anything about money. Yes, so let's get into it here. Tonight, what we're talking about, I told you the back to the basics is I got to figure out how to hide this little bar. Anyway, we're going to talk about maybe what is going on. Let's just do this. Perfect. All right. Back to the basics tonight is going to be something we're trying to teach those that don't understand gaps, and we're going to name gaps, and we're going to talk about on the offensive side, okay, and then we're going to talk a little bit about D-line alignment, linebacker alignment, and such. Okay, so that'll be pretty quick tonight. So let's jump into that. First of all, let's talk the offensive side. Let's talk gaps. Okay. There is a pretty universal understanding in gaps, kinda. And I have to say kinda here because there are those of you out there who try to make this more complicated than you have to, and you know who you are. Okay? What does that mean? Well, what I mean is gaps can very quickly get out of control with trying to letter them. As you can see here, I'm putting A, B, C, and D. Now, realistically, D gap is like everything out there kind of gap. But there comes a time when people will try to double wing you or whatever. Okay, and then you're going to see the necessity to get an additional gap. One could even say, okay, that a very legal formation could look like this. And then you have to say, how many gaps are there, Coach Chamberlain? Well, there's a freaking bunch. Okay. I don't know that I'm ever going to call this F and G gap. Okay. It's just probably not going to happen. Okay. So when we start talking about being gap sound, I am generally going to keep it pretty simple and just talk A through D gap. I'm not even really going to talk E that much. We'll leave it up there just because there's people out there that run double wing type stuff. So here we've named the gaps, and you have to ask me like, hey, coach, what about those gaps? Like, where are those? Okay, these letters are aligned in the gaps that they represent. So A gap, B gap, C gap, D gap, and then like E would basically be anything out there. Okay. Once again, some people don't believe in an E gap. I don't even know that I truly do. We don't use it enough. D gap generally is like as wide as most people are going to go, and they'll say, hey, D gap is everything outside. But because it's so common nowadays, okay, we're talking Kenny Simpson guys here that want to just put a tight end wing over there and then some chaos on the backside or whatever, okay? I think we have to incorporate it at this point. So there's your gaps, okay? So if we talk about between the tackles, okay, that's going to be A and B gaps to each side. This is generally where I think power, counter, stuff like that's supposed to. Your gap scheme plays are generally supposed to hit in there. Now, they're built so that they can hit, wherever. Okay, we can trap or wham or any of those fancy inside plays and hit an A gap play. I teach counter, GTGH, as an A gap play because that's where I want the back to aim and then just follow the guard or tackle, whoever the last puller is. Bucks the same way, right? I realize we're pulling and kicking from that A gap, but we're also downing that player. So I think gap scheme plays, and most of them start A gap and then work out, just kind of riding the wave of those pullers. Other people will tell you that they're power counter or off tackle type plays, meaning they're supposed to be a C gap play. it's kind of up to you. That's why football is not universal. Okay, in any way, shape, or form, football is not a universal game. We all speak about it different. We all have different beliefs. However, you start talking zones, okay, zone scheme type stuff. You look at like inside zone is generally a front side. So if we're going inside zone right, okay, it's going to be a front side A gap to backside A gap to like wherever shows up. Liam's coming in the room, so say hi to Liam. What's up, buddy? Yes, buddy. I'll make you silver shadow milk. Can I finish this video? Right now. Okay, I'll make it in just a few moments. Are you going to help me? You can help me teach football? Okay, come here. Say hi, Lily. Look, you're on the screen. And you're up there. Hi. Anyway, so these are obviously how you can dictate where these zone plays go is by talking gaps. Pass pro is the same thing. Anyway, there's your offensive gaps. Okay, so A, B, C, D. Some people talk about an E gap. Generally, D gaps is most you're going to hear. Let's look at it from the defensive perspective. So now we still talk about what gap they're in, okay? But now we're going to give them alignment numbers. So when we start talking alignment over here, essentially every head-up position is going to be an even number. So you got a 0, a 2, 4, and a 6, and this is to both directions. Now, anything inside of those, except for the 6, and those of y'all that have any knowledge of football, you know where I'm going. Okay, so if you're an inside on one of those, obviously you can't be an inside shade of a 0. That wouldn't make sense. But if you're inside, and we'll do inside in blue here, okay, so that's going to be a 2I. Sorry. I realize that won't put a lowercase I. It should because it looks better. Sorry. Yes, baby. Can you do it right now? No, but I'll do it in just a moment. No. This boy wants some milk. 2 eyes, 4 eyes. Now you ask about, 6. Look, there are people out there that teach that as a 6I. Okay. But if you go with the old school method, that's a 7. So you can teach both. You can teach one. You can make up your own rules. I don't know. I've heard some really weird ones out there. I would say don't reinvent the wheel too much. Okay. If you're the outside shade of one of these, then you're just the next odd number. So here we get back into the outside of a 0. Could be a 1 either way. Okay. Sometimes we call that a shade. And then we're going to be a 3, a 5. And then out here is where you get into this like weird, is it a 7 or is it a 9? Look, I teach it as a 9 because that's how I was taught. I guess technically you could call it a 7. I'm not. I'm going to call a 7 as an inside shade, a 9 as an outside shade. But you can kind of see there where 7 crosses over and can be either of those. Oh, look, I didn't put all the things on here. So there's a 3 and there's a 5. Now we call these techniques. Okay, so if I tell you to play a 3 tech, you're going to be the outside shoulder of that guard. Okay, that would be a 3 tech. If I tell you playing a 2I, that is going to be the inside shade of a guard. See how that works. A 6 is going to be head up of a tight end. Okay, those are pretty universal. The ones that can switch over is the 6I 7 or the 7-9. You'll find, I think most people still use 7-9, but it really is everywhere. I've had people that numbered them 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, giving each position its own number working inside out. So it really can do, you can do whatever you want, but if you don't want to reinvent the wheel, simplicity is the key here. Then you just pick one and run with it. I recommend the 7 through 9. Now, the 6, 7, 9 is what I recommend. The linebackers, okay, just a little bit different. Essentially, you're going to give them 2 numbers, okay? So You say, what do you mean? Just make it a tens play. So if I want a backer to be a 1, but I want him to play linebacker at 5 yards, I'm going to call him a 10 backer. Okay. If I want him in a 2, it'd be a 20 backer. If I want him into a 5, but at linebacker depth, I call that a 50 backer. Okay. That's pretty common, I think, around football. You can have a 30 backer, a 40 backer. Okay, so just once again, you take whatever position that would be on the defensive line, you add a 0, and it tells the linebacker to play, that position, but 5 yards off the line. I don't know that I've ever heard of a 90. So maybe there you're just getting a little bit out of control, but 0 through 50, maybe 60, but I don't know why you'd have a backer that wide. That's kind of how we name them. All right, super short tonight. Look at that, under 10 minutes. Hopefully you guys have watched through it. If you have any questions, if you have comments, please leave them. Feel free to share, like, follow, whatever YouTube makes you do nowadays. Do that thing. Comment and tell Liam hi. He's trying to learn football too. All right, guys, appreciate your time. Have a fantastic night. We'll be back another night this week with some more Back to the Basics.